holiness of the day lies not in what outside observers think about it, but what those who commemorate it think. Let's talk about our first source, partly because this lets us start at the individual level. Direct experience of that transcending mystery and wonder, affirmed in all cultures, which moves us to a renewal of the spirit and an openness to the forces which create and uphold life. I can think of no other holy day than a birthday to represent this. Sophia Lyon-Fahs famously said, "Each night a child is born is a holy night." There is both miracle and magic in the birth of a child. And the ways we celebrate birthdays differ across cultures and even just across families, and they change. I think after the last couple of years, we're all looking again at the idea of breathing on a cake that is about to be shared among guests. I don't know about you, but the idea of blowing out candles on a shared cake is completely gone from my birthday celebrations from here on out. We all have different traditions. At some point in my life, I picked up the tradition of serving everyone else cake first before I ate a piece at my own birthday. My partner's family has a tradition where the birthday person does the first cut, but doesn't remove the knife. Instead, that's when you make a wish and someone close to you pulls the knife out. I'm sure each of you have a tradition for celebrating that is unique to your family. And here's the thing. Each of those are valid and important because they are how you commemorate that event. Anniversaries are similar. Each couple and family celebrate them in their own way. We celebrate anniversaries of many things, not just weddings or starts of relationships. We celebrate the anniversary of when someone first became sober. We commemorate the anniversary of a death. We celebrate the anniversary of the start of something new. As groups, we commemorate many days that are meaningful: graduations, reunions, mortgage burnings, etc. However, for many people, if they don't get something out of it, a holy day or holiday, or if it's not their tradition, they can get a little grumpy. And some of that can be tied to being anxious about things we don't understand or relate to. However, as Unitarian Universalists, we have 5 more sources to look to. Isn't that awesome? Our second source is words and deeds of prophetic people which challenge us to confront powers and structures of evil with justice, compassion, and a transforming power of love. And I bet you're wondering what holidays or holy days I can bring up for this one, aren't you? Well, Transgender Day of Remembrance, World AIDS Day, Indigenous Peoples Day. I would challenge that Election Day is a holy day, according to the second source. These are days that remind us of who we were, who we are, and who we can be. These are days that remind us that the holy work of peace, justice, and equity are in our hands. Holy days. Third source, wisdom from the world's religions, which inspires us in our ethical and spiritual life. Our Jewish and Christian siblings are mentioned in the next one, so this is basically all of the others. And boy, howdy, are there a lot of holidays here. If I'm looking just at this time of year, Diwali, the Hindu festival of lights, Milad un-Nabi, the birthday of the Prophet Muhammad, Bodhi Day, Buddhist holiday commemorating the Buddha, and Kwanzaa, the African celebration of family, community, and culture. There are plenty more if you look at the entire year. Again, holidays and holy days may not even know existed, but we don't have to in order to celebrate them, but they are holy to someone. Our fourth source gathers the holidays we know the most about in our culture, Jewish and Christian teachings, which call us to respond to God's love by loving our neighbors as ourselves. For this season, we have Hanukkah and Christmas, which happens on the 25th. And although some religious traditions also commemorate Advent, the period of waiting leading up to Christmas, the holy day of Christmas seems to have been taken over by commercialization and secularization, but it is still there. I would argue that there are now 2 Christmases, the church one and the secular one with Santa. And while we're not here to discuss or debate which is better or more preferred or whatever, we are here to acknowledge that both hold meaning for different people. An important thing to remember is that there are Jewish Unitarian Universalists, just like there are Christian Unitarian Universalists. This time of year, it can be very easy to cause hurt feelings by our words. Again, even if these holidays are not important to you, they may be important to someone that you're covenanted with to be in beloved community. It is important to mind our words and our actions as we talk about and celebrate or commemorate various holidays. For all traditions, of course, but it seems to get extra prickly around this time with these holidays. Source 5, humanist teachings which counsel us to heed the guidance of reason and the results of science and warn us against idolatries of the mind and spirit. Bet you think I can't find ones for this either. Well, a quick glance at my calendar brought up National STEM Day, National Philanthropy Day, Giving Tuesday, Pearl Harbor Remembrance, and Human Rights Day. I contend that when we commemorate the Climate March, that is definitely a holy day informed by our humanist teachings. And finally, our sixth source, spiritual teachings of earth-centered traditions which celebrate the sacred circle of life and instruct us to live in harmony with the rhythms of nature. For this holiday season, that means winter solstice or Yule. So you see, we have a lot of holidays and holy days that we as Unitarian Universalists need to be aware of and respectful towards. We don't have to celebrate or commemorate these days if they don't fit in with our personal theology or culture, but neither should we degrade, dismiss, or denigrate any of them because they don't fit in with our personal theology or culture. Personally, this time of year, I commemorate Trans Day of Remembrance and the National Day of Mourning instead of the traditional Thanksgiving. I celebrate winter solstice as my religious holiday and Christmas as my cultural holiday with a heavy mix of both sacred and secular in there. You may celebrate and commemorate a different mix or just one or two holidays from the same tradition. And guess what? That's okay. To me, it's one of the coolest things about you being a Unitarian Universalist. The other being getting to build my own theology, but I'm a nerd, so that may not be the same for you. Now, with that said, we also must be mindful of not appropriating another culture or religion's holy day. What do I mean? Well, if the holy day is not of our tradition or our culture, it is not ours to initiate the celebration. We can be invited to attend with someone from that culture presiding. For example, we did a Day of the Dead service at my congregation in October. A congregant led it because it was from her culture. I had my traditional Samhain observance at home that evening and was thankful that I got to acknowledge my ancestors twice on the same day. It is because of appropriation and being mindful not to do it that you will not see me light a menorah or the Advent wreath. I'm not saying they would never be lit at a service I lead. I'm saying that I personally would not be the one doing it because they're not my traditions. And for me, it would be appropriation for me to do it. The Advent wreath used to be, but as I don't commemorate that anymore, to me personally, it would feel appropriative. I would absolutely delight in witnessing and acknowledging, and the fact that you all did light it was wonderful because they are holy days and they are important. So how do we respect holy days and holidays of traditions other than our own without appropriating? Well, we start by learning, something we're all good at as Unitarian Universalists. There is a wide variety of information out there in the world, and you could research and read and get all the book learning on these holidays. Or you could work on building relationships with those who honor different holy days than you. Now, don't just ask strangers or even friends for free emotional labor of explaining them to you. Instead, let it be known that you are doing your own research, but would love to also participate in or observe a holy day celebration that is not your own. The key is in the building of relationships. After all, isn't that what this holy season is all about? Amen. May it be so. Blessed be, and happy holidays.